I'd like you to consider a word. Success. It means so much to so many people, doesn't it? I mean, it's such a powerful word. Success. Success is different. I call him the kid. Mario Arizon, right? You guys know Mario. He came to see me speak a couple months ago with Grant Cardone in Vegas, and I sat in his white Lambo. Have you guys seen that on Facebook? His white Lambo. I sat inside of it, and he revved the engine, right? It was like, vroom, vroom. Not going to lie, I think I got turned on a little bit. It was amazing. But that guy's going to make a ridiculous amount of money inside of this business. No question, right? But you know, the truth is this, is that also inside of this audience somewhere sits a single mother that says, you know what, Dr. Trivedi, that's fantastic. That's good for them, but I don't really care. I don't care because I just want to make $100,000 a year. $100,000 a year, man, that changes the course of my life. That allows me to put food on the table, put a roof over my kids' heads. That allows me to put a college savings plan together for my kids. And to them, success means something very different, doesn't it? There's no question. See, I've been studying this idea of success for a long time and the brain for a long time, about 21 years. And interestingly enough, I discovered that if I was going to study success, right, I was going to also have to study this thing called failure, right? I had to understand that. So in my study of failure, I started asking questions to myself. I started saying, okay, why don't people achieve goals, right? Why don't people, how many people in this audience have set a goal before that you have not achieved? And those who don't have your hands up, you're just lying. Just saying. All of us have. So I had to say, why is that? Because we all know the statistics, don't we? 3% of the world writes goals. And all of us in the 3%, we sit and say, yeah, you know, we're part of the 3%. And we call them names, don't we? We call them things like the masses. Or we say things like, man, they're just lazy. Or you know what, they just don't want it bad enough. Ever heard those things? So here's what I learned in my research inside of this. You have to think about this. Why is it that they don't achieve them? Why is it that people fail? Because goal setting, let's be honest, right? Goal setting itself, it's pretty simple, right? You set a goal and you achieve it. It's pretty simple. So why isn't everybody on the planet rich? Why isn't everybody successful? Why aren't they? Because goal setting itself, we learn it at such a young age. How many people got children? Okay, quite a few of you. So we learn goal setting at such a young age, right? My kids go to the dentist's office, and the dentist says, well, you brush your teeth, and you floss your teeth, and you come back in 3 months, and you hit your goal. So my son, every night, he's like, Daddy, I'm brushing my teeth. Goes to the dentist 3 months later, comes back and says, I hit my goal, yay. Right? So why do we stop doing this? And here's what I learned, I'll tell you, is because when we set goals that we don't achieve, we create emotions. And these emotions are guilt, their shame, their judgment, their anger, and even up to the point of resentment towards yourself. So why on earth would anybody in business want to do a process that causes them more pain? They wouldn't. And these are the same people you're doing business with every single day, right? Let me give you an example of this. So growing up, I learned to set goals from my dad, okay? And my dad would say to me, Alok, you are a very smart boy. Very smart. You are a genius, I know. But you have to bring the marks. And I said, okay. He said, you bring me marks, I'll buy you any video game you want. And I said, Dad, don't play with me because this is serious stuff to me. This is a big deal. You guys remember Nintendo? Yeah, I was big into Nintendo, right? He says, Alok, any video game you want. I said, Dad, okay, can we get Super Mario Brothers? He says, Alok, I'll buy you Super Mario Brothers, Super Mario Sisters, anybody in Mario's family you want, just bring me marks. So needless to say, I got straight A's, okay? And then I hit high school. And let's just say I found girls. And my grades did this. My dad used to say, Alok, you used to be very smart. What happened? What happened to you, idiot? And I said, Dad, I am. I'm a genius. Trust me, I'm smart. I mean, I failed calculus 3 times. That takes skill. That takes intelligence. It's not easy to do. But what happened is I began to resent school and resent going and getting an education and learning, right? And this is what happens inside of the Primerica business, doesn't it? Right? I've sat with so many leaders in the beginning where they sit down with their teammate and they say, man, I am so pumped for you. I am so excited because you decided to join Primerica. Your life is about to change. John, you are going to kill it. Congratulations and welcome to come to the business. John says, yeah, man, this is awesome. I can't wait. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. My goal for you is this. I want you to go out and I want you to recruit 10 new people this month, okay? John says, yeah, man, I'm doing it. Joe told me I got to go recruit 10 people. I'm going to go do it. Okay, I'm going to go to the marketplace. John gets out there. Oh, man, I'm from Primerica. Oh, man, that was rejection number 1, right? Then they go over here and they say, man, I'm from Primerica. Man, that was rejection number 2. Joe told me this was going to happen. I'm going to try it one more time. Okay, one more time. Oh, man, rejection number 3. And what happens? Joe's not getting them on the phone anymore, are they? And they're long gone out of the Primerica world, right? That becomes tough. So all that work you do to recruit this person, doesn't it almost sometimes feel like a waste? Let's be real, right? I want us to be real with our emotions. I don't want to hide them because if that's what you're feeling, then that's real. And that's going to prevent you from recruiting more again. Does that make sense? We can't BS this stuff. This is real. So, because I've sat with leaders, I've sat with so many Primerica leaders, and they all say the same thing to me, right? They say, well, Dr. Trivedi, the numbers are the numbers are the numbers. That's just how it is. I'm guessing you guys have heard that before. And I say to them, man, look, I understand. You're right. The numbers are the numbers are the numbers. If you continue to train your team on the old science of the brain. If you are doing old, outdated processes and understanding human performance, yes, your numbers are going to stay 8531 forever. However, today we know more about neuroscience and about the brain and how it works and performance than ever in history. Would you agree with me? Yes. Absolutely. And it's all related. I got to tell you this. There are teams. I talked to the guy the other day. He's still training his team on right brain and left brain thinking, right? That doesn't exist anymore. We now know that we use the entire brain. We use the entire brain. But if you're still training on that, your results are going to be the same. And it's all related to this one thing that Joe mentioned earlier. It was called the values. Okay? So if I can show you a scientific way to be able to build this business and achieve your goals, would that be of value to you? Okay. So the reason people don't achieve their goals is not because they don't want it. It's not that. How many people in this room want to be millionaires? How many people in this room are millionaires? See what I'm saying? It's not because you don't want it. The reason people don't succeed and don't achieve their goals is because they don't value it. They don't value it. And your values, these aren't things like honesty, integrity, loyalty. Joe's nodding at me like, yes, you've drilled me on this already. It's not that. Those are social idealisms that people put into your head. That's not true. Your values are what's known as the blueprint of this entire field. And it's got a long name. Let me get it right. It's called Interpersonal Psychoneurobiology. It's a big, long word, right? I'll tell you what it means. Let me tell you what it means. What it means is how you think and how you're wired. It's who you are and how you express yourself into the world. Would that be of value to know that? Think about that from a recruiting standpoint. If you were talking to someone and you knew who they were based on several questions, would it be easier for you to recruit them? Absolutely. What about retention? Company-wide, you guys know the retention numbers. I've heard between 8 and 11%. If you were able to coach people and lead people based on who they were, would your retention go up? There's no question about it. There's no question about it. See, the thing is that people lie to themselves every single day. All of us do, right? But your values in your life do not lie. 100%. They don't lie to you. They give you exactly what you want. And this lady, she comes up to me. She says, we're doing the value determination exercise. And she says, Dr. Trivedi, I don't need to do this because I already know my values. I've been in Primerica 7 years, and Primerica is my #1 value. I said, wow, that's pretty amazing, right? That's pretty amazing that she's doing that. That's pretty, I said, wow, you already have that much clarity. Go do the exercise. She went back to her table. She said, no, Dr. Trivedi, I already know this. I know this stuff, man. This is my #1 value. I said, go do the exercise. She goes to her room, she goes to her chair. 10 minutes later, all you heard was, oh my God. I can't even believe it. I said, what happened? She said, this whole time I thought Primerica was my #1 value. She said, it's not even in my top 10. No wonder I'm not making any money in it. No wonder. So let me say this as a statement, as a very direct statement. If you're not making money in Primerica, it's not because you don't want to. It's because you don't value Primerica. It's not because you don't want to. You're here. Your intent is there, but you can't measure intent. You can measure values. Does that make sense? The job of a leader is to communicate and inspire their team to move forward, right? That's the job of a leader. Now, if you're not speaking in your team's or person's values, a wall goes up, and they're not communicating with you. And they will lie to you. They will say, yeah, I'm going to do this. I'm going to build this business, right? Mika's laughing at me. They're going to go build this business. I'm going to go do this. And what do? They're gone. How many people came back after convention and were like, man, we are so pumped up, and then 3 to 4 days later, it's like, where are they? Where are they? My next op meeting was the worst meeting ever, right? Because when you motivate, you drop down. I'll explain that in a second here. But if you don't communicate in someone's values, you can't connect with them. You, as a leader, you won't relate to them. I'll give you an example of this. In my practice, Joe mentioned I used to practice. I used to have patients come into my office, and they always used to sell me fundraising stuff for their kids. You guys know what I'm talking about, like Girl Scouts, things like that? And I always said no. I said, no, I'm good, thank you. And one year, this lady comes in, and she says, Dr. Trivedi, would you like to buy cookies from Susie? I said, no, thank you, I'm good. She says, what? How can you say no to a little girl like Susie? And I said, I'm not. I'm saying no to you. I said, who are the cookies for? For you or for her? And she says, well, they're for her, Dr. Trivedi, for her. I said, then why isn't she selling me? She says, I'm trying to be a good mother, Dr. Trivedi. I'm trying to help her. I said, look, I appreciate your knack as a mother, and I think that's great, but I think you're personally taking away an opportunity for her to learn how to sell. Right? So a couple days later, Susie comes into my office, and she says, Dr. Trivedi, I need a couple minutes of your time. I said, okay, Susie, what's up? She says, well, first of all, thank you for allowing me to share with you what I consider to be the best tasting cookies on the planet. I said, okay. She goes, we have 5 different kinds here, but I've taken 2 away because I don't want to waste your time. She said, first we have our Thin Mints, right? You guys know that? Yeah. She says, these are our most popular and best-selling cookies out there. I said, okay. She goes, let me ask you a question. Do you ever need a mint after lunch before you see patients? I said, yes, Susie, I do. She goes, these would be perfect for an after-lunch snack. I said, okay, great. She goes, but I don't recommend them for you. She goes, because they have 22 grams of fat, and I know you're watching your figure. I said, okay. So what do you recommend? She goes, I'm glad you asked. Hold on, it's coming. She goes, next we have our caramel delights, right? She goes, oh my God, Dr. Trivedi, these are so good. They're my favorite. She goes, but I don't recommend these for you either. She goes, because they have high fructose corn syrup. And because of the health risk factors, you're not going to like these. I said, okay, Susie, how do you know so much of this stuff? Like, how do you know all this? She goes, Dr. Trivedi, I'm here to sell. It's my job to know my product and your values. I said, okay, Susie. What do you recommend, right? And she says, I'm glad you asked. For you, I recommend the Shout Out cookies. She goes, these are made with soy, and for our health-conscious people, they only have 8 grams of sugar. I said, wow, okay. She goes, so for a man as smart as you are, this would be your wisest choice. How many boxes can I put you down for? She went in for the sale. She asked for the sale. And I said, hold on, wait a minute, Susie, wait a minute. I said, how many boxes have you sold? She says, 46. I said, okay, great. What's your goal? She says, 500. Needless to say, for the next few months, every patient walked out with a box of cookies. I got sold, and I was happy to do it. I actually had a sign put up on my office that said, Dr. Trivedi does not buy more than 10 Girl Scout cookies anymore. But I asked her a little while ago, I said to her afterwards, I said, how did you learn so much about the values? And she says, you know, I came to one of your seminars. I sat in the back of the audience, and I was taking notes. She goes, when my mom came home and told me what you said to her, I thought I'd try and use your material against you. And it worked. There you go. So would you like to begin the process of learning your own values? Okay, so here we go. How do you identify yourself? What would you say? For me, it'd be simple, because I know my values. I'd say I'm a father, I'm a speaker, I'm a teacher, I'm a consultant, I'm a business entrepreneur. That's who I am. What are you willing to pursue despite going through pain? What are you willing to achieve or pursue despite, if I cut all of you in this room a check for $250 million? It's a lot of money, isn't it? What would you do with your time? I have done this in my businesses for the last 10 years, and I've trained thousands of people on this system. If you did this, and when you brought someone new into the business, you give them the application, next thing you do, you slide in the value application. When you're coaching them and leading them, are you going to have a better retention rate because you know who they are independently than not? No question about it. I've done it in every single business, and I used to have huge turnover. People hated me. I was more intense than Joe. And I let it go. I started doing the values, and all of a sudden my employee retention went up. My business retention went up. Same thing for you guys. It's the same principle, right? So on August 5th, Joe told you about that. We're going to go through the whole process of that, laying the whole thing out, breaking it down, showing you exactly what you guys, how to do it, how to decipher it for yourself. It is the most introspective process you've ever seen, and it will blow your mind. It really will blow your mind. See, because when people are living outside of their values, they live in a world of motivation, right? And for the most part, I'm going to be direct in saying this, the convention was motivation, wasn't it? It was. It was motivation. It was great. I'm not dissing it. It was great. It was fantastic. But it was motivation. And when we start living in motivation, we start using language like, I have to, I need to, and I should. What this does, it creates resentment and guilt and shame, which prevents you from moving forward. I see a lot of heads nodding. Make sense? Okay. When you start living according to your own values, you start using language like I want to, I choose to, and I love to. And when you function from this inspired state, you build this business not because Joe is telling you. You build it for yourself because you want it. Only because you want it. No one has to motivate you to do it. But then when you function and live in this inspired state, you define success based on your own inspirations, not someone else's motivations. Every single one of you do. Right? Bring your team there because literally, in 45 minutes, I will destroy their fear of rejection. We will change their brain with the questions that I will ask, and it'll destroy their fear of rejection. Absolutely. We do it live, and then people go out, and they go prospect, and they say, they come back, and they cry in the program. And they say, Dr. Trivedi, I've always been afraid to prospect. And literally, in 45 minutes, they went and prospected 10 people. But in closing, let me say this to you. Growing up, I used to get in a lot of fights. I used to have a lot of challenges, right? How many people deal with challenges every day? Everyone, right? And I'll share the wisdom of my dad. And my dad said to me, very young, he said, son, why are you fighting all the time? I said, Dad, do you see these people? They're huge. They're fighting me. And he said to me words that I think I live by. And he said to me, son, as long as you think the fight is on the outside, you'll continue to fight the war on the inside. Something to consider. So, thank you guys. Hope to see you August 5th.